So I was scrolling through X. I don't get on X a whole lot, but I came across some more Nick Shirley stuff because apparently there was a raid on the Learing Center that he investigated. And so
There you
this
have
has
it.
been
Over
kind of
20.
interesting.
It is officially National Learing Day. The Learing
It is
Center has
National
officially
Learing
been
Day.
raided, and play the clip.
Now, large-scale raids targeting federal fraud currently underway. Federal agents seen leaving the Quality Learning Center.
Take a
Ah,
look
he
at
said it
this
wrong.
video here. Sources tell Fox that federal agents are raiding about 22 businesses across
22.
Minneapolis this morning. And sources say many of them are tied to Somali-owned operations. All of this comes after that viral YouTube video from Nick Shirley. It was back in December. In that video, he visited different child care centers. And you'll remember they were
That was a
either
crazy
closed
video
or there were
too.
just no children inside, despite receiving state child care funding. Now, the location that you're looking at right now, it's the Quality Learning Center. This is the daycare. It went viral. It blew up on social
Quality
media
Learing
because of a
Center.
sign outside with learning that was literally misspelled. Looks like we got a statement from DHS sharing, quote, Homeland Security investigations in cooperation with our law enforcement partners executed criminal search warrants in Minneapolis relating to the rampant fraud of U.S.
Wow.
taxpayers' dollars.
So there you have it. Over 20.
Uh, This is crazy that I think he's 22 now, but a 21, 22-year-old kid basically took down an entire state, actually two states, Minnesota and California's entire fraud system. It took a 22-year-old kid to
Businesses
do
were
YouTube
raided by the
videos for
FBI and
change to happen.
HSI today because of fraud that took place. They had 22 search warrants for primarily Somali-ran businesses because it just so
Holy
happens to
cow.
be that a lot of the businesses in Minnesota that were fraudulent were ran by Somalians. And now we're going to talk about these locations that were raided, but I do think it is super important that we talk about somebody who's trying to claim credit for the fraud being exposed, and that is Tim Waltz. Tim Waltz actually said at the height of this fraud that no evidence of fraud was taking place in Minnesota. However, today Tim Waltz is saying something completely different, trying to take credit for the fraud being exposed. And this is what Tim Waltz had to say on X today. He said, if you commit fraud in Minnesota, you are going to get caught. And that's exactly what we saw today. We catch
But the problem, Mr. Governor Tim Walz, is that it wasn't done by you.
criminals when state and federal agencies share information, joint investigations work, and securing justice depends on it. He
Yeah,
then
it's
said,
this
today's
is
raids
this
by
is
state and
crazy
federal
what's
law
been
enforcement
happening.
happened because our state agencies caught irregular behavior and reported it. That is a complete lie. Then he says, that's how the system is supposed to work, and our agencies will keep at it as long as there are fraudsters around to put behind bars. Well, Tim actually might have to get put behind bars because he enabled all this fraud to take place underneath his leadership in Minnesota. And just to talk
Wow.
about some of the stuff that was irregular inside of Minnesota, such as the 1,000% increases for the budget for autism. Meanwhile, there was not a 1,000% increase of children with autism, or the increase of money that they're giving to these daycares that actually had no kids inside of the daycares. And with all this going on, I do have some good news. Right now, everything on my website is 25% off. All you have to do is go to the link down below and use code
There you go.
LEARINGDAY, and you can go ahead and get yourself a Learing hoodie.
That's
or
awesome.
anything else we have available. We have t-shirts, hoodies available, and just use code LEARINGDAY for 25% off. And now let's get
That's
back
awesome.
into talking about the fraud. And now let's actually talk about who deserves the most credit for exposing this fraud, and that is David. Without David and his years and years of
Yeah.
investigating this fraud,
Yeah, David, incredible. He had to sit there and go through all the government websites, get the listings on all the businesses, all the records of the incomes that they were receiving, how many kids they were supposed to have, and even though we went through that video and they found none. Yeah, so props to David too. And this is hilarious that this is great. This was fantastic. The rest of the video just kind of goes into the 22 places that were rated that we kind of saw on the other videos. And then with all this fallout too, popped up this with Ilhan Omar, who's also associated with this. She has until Tuesday to hand over all text, emails, and communications with feeding our future fraud ring. And so this is a little clip from
Minnesota
that right
lawmakers are
here.
asking Congresswoman Ilhan Omar to respond by Tuesday regarding questions about a statewide child nutrition fraud scheme. The lawmakers are seeking Omar's written and electronic communications involving the state's Feeding Our Future program, which misused millions of dollars in taxpayer funds. State lawmakers specifically hoping to look at Omar's
Yep.
correspondence
So basically, she was assisting and funding
with the owner
all these fraudulent
of the Safari
places.
restaurant. State lawmakers point out Omar was a regular at that restaurant, staging many campaign events there. Its owners recently pleaded guilty for their role in the $250 million fraud scheme. Now, Omar's team and allies have largely framed allegations trying to link her to
Oh
fraud as
yes,
politically motivated and not
it is
substantiated.
absolutely
But for
politically
more on
motivated. I
this,
was
we are
literally
joined by
just said
Minnesota
that
State
too.
Representative Kristen Robbins tonight. She is the chair of the Minnesota House Fraud Prevention and State Oversight Committee, also a candidate for Minnesota governor. Appreciate you being here today and sharing your perspective. And I
Yeah,
know
they
we're
are
fast
all in
approaching
trouble
this
over there
Tuesday
in
request for
Minnesota.
Congresswoman Omar. Minnesota lawmakers are asking Congress.
And so she's in trouble too, especially with all that. And they keep accusing her of building a Somalian army because she wants to make Somalia into little Minnesota Somalia. And then we also had, yeah, this was Tim Waltz message that you saw in the video. If you commit fraud in Minnesota, you're going to get caught. This was a lie. Nick Shirley did all this, and that's exactly what we did today. That's a lie. But it's even better because Nick Shirley didn't have to say anything really because JD Vance did all the talking
This
too.
is like the arsonist trying to claim credit for the work of the fire department because Tim Waltz let this fraud happen under his watch. Whether he was complicit in it directly himself or just turned a blind eye towards it, we really did not get much help at all from the governor's office. Where we did actually get some help was from some state, local law enforcement officers who we assigned to the federal task force because the state government wasn't doing anything. So all credit goes to people on the ground, the federal officers, the state officers who are working to uncover this fraud. This is like the arsonist trying to claim credit for the work of the fire department.
Yeah, so there you have it. It is the National Quality Learing Day. The businesses got raided. That's the newest intel on what's happening right now around then. But credit to Nick Shirley. The dude's doing amazing work going out there, basically putting his life on the line to try to get to the truth behind everything.